What happened to Lili? In the first few months of the game, Lili was considered to be incredibly strong, with most top players putting her in the top 10 or just outside of the top 10 on their tier lists. Pro player TEKKEN dominated tournaments with her, actually winning EVO Japan 2024 over some of the best players in the world like Ni, Lohai, Jonding, and way more. You'd think Lili winning the first major tournament in the lifetime of Tekken 8 would have made the character explode in popularity. I mean, she must be broken, right? I thought a huge amount of tournament players would start picking up the character, and she would go on to dominate Tekken 8. But that never happened. TEKKEN's results took a huge dip, missing top 8 in every other Master Tier event he attended this year. Why is this? What changed after EVO Japan, where everything was looking so good for Lili? The character has become incredibly absent in competitive play recently, but looking at her play rate stats online, she's actually very high. She's been a very popular pick for casuals throughout the entire lifetime of the game. Why is there such a huge disconnect between the general player base and the competitive players when it comes to this character? I decided to find out, and after extensive research and spamming cartwheels in ranked, I think I figured it out. So let's talk about it. Coming into Tekken 8, Lili had been given some pretty huge buffs from Tekken 7, where she was a mid to low tier in the eyes of most tournament players. Lili has always been the defensive character archetype in Tekken. The character is in a confusing spot where online players love abusing her cheese, her weird back turn setups, her evasive cartwheels. There's definitely a lot of gimmicks here, but despite all this, Lili was actually designed for honest fundamental gameplay. She has the best sidestep in the game by far, actually allowing her to sidestep certain strings and setups that no other character in the game is able to. This is an incredibly strong, unique attribute to her, and coming into Tekken 8, where sidesteps were now bigger than ever, she was looking very good. She retained her fundamental tools, her excellent punishment that she's always been known for, her great counter hit utility with moves like her forward 4, and was given some very strong new tools. She was given a steel pedal, vastly improving her ground game. She was given a new string in her 113 that was Twitch confirmable if she saw the first one counter hit, giving her a knockdown, and would be a counter hit launcher if her opponent pressed into her in the final hit. This string was so good. And of course, she was given some crazy heat moves. This was what defined Lili at the start of Tekken 8. She'd enter heat, and then press a back 3 to go into her spin stance, and then you'd basically have to guess. It was one of the strongest forced 50-50s in the game, especially at the wall, threatening a -12 knockdown low and a mid that launches when she heat dashes out of it. But what made this 50-50 so strong? Lots of characters can force 50-50s from their stances, it's nothing new to Tekken. Why is Lili's any different? Well, remember Lili's new steel pedal? This was guaranteed after hitting the low, and it initially had almost no knockback, meaning Lili players would just loop this pressure constantly at the wall. It was very broken. The mid would also trigger a wall stagger at the wall, giving her an insane frame advantage. This was one of the best 50-50 vortexes in the whole game. There was really not a lot of counterplay, and top players like TEKKEN would just loop this pressure over and over. It was admittedly a pretty odd game design to give a character who was supposed to be all about defense and punishment a broken heat vortex. Didn't really fit her identity too much. This was one of the main reasons she was seen as being so strong in the game's initial launch. You had a character with incredible defensive capabilities, great fundamental tools, and super broken and honestly somewhat toxic 50-50 pressure and heat. TEKKEN's performance at EVO Japan showcased this to a great extent, and was most likely the main reason Namco decided to nerf the character a month later. And they nerfed her hard. In Balance Patch 1.05, the big defensive patch that nerfed heat, Lili saw a ton of nerfs. The vortex was significantly toned down, with her no longer being able to loop the pressure in heat, as the steel pedal would now knock you far away, not letting her go for another 50-50, and the wall stagger on the mid was completely removed. Let's be honest, this was a justified nerf. The 50-50 was too strong. But keep in mind, even when Lili did have this, she wasn't considered one of the broken Tekken 8 top tiers. Like I said earlier, she was usually placed around number 10 to 15 on most players' tier lists. She was very strong, but even with her strong heat, she still wasn't above the many other problematic characters. And with these nerfs, they basically just got rid of her strongest attribute in this game. But okay, Lili's still strong, right? They unfortunately didn't stop with just nerfing her Vortex. Sorry to quickly interrupt this video, but if you guys are enjoying this and want to see more longer scripted Tekken 8 content like this in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. It goes such a long way in helping me fight the YouTube algorithm and work towards my dream of hopefully one day doing this as a full-time job. Only about 21% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, though it really is a big help. It's free to do and it only takes 1 second of your time. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video. Her new 113 string was completely butchered, becoming way more unsafe, losing all of its knockback, losing a ton of properties, and increasing the recovery time on whiff. I can't understate how much that hurt her. This string was huge for her offense. It's like if Jin's 214 suddenly became launch punishable on block. Her forward 3+4 was nerfed, having way more recovery time, her best low, down 3 was nerfed, losing a lot of damage, and a bunch of other small things were also nerfed. This was not good for Lili. I mean, she was still strong, but this was her losing all of her big Tekken 8 moves. You know the ones I mean, the sneak 4s, the Jin heat smash, the down forward 1-2. All of the top tiers have insane moves or properties, and her losing her 50-50 and her 113 string meant that she was getting set very far behind these guys. Her cool new steel pedal was also hit very hard, now becoming -11 on block. After these nerfs, she basically returned to the Lili everyone expected, the defensive, punishment-based character. She was and remains to this day a strong A-tier character, in most people's opinion, but in a game where so many characters are broken, this just isn't enough for her. Lili players were dropping like flies during this time. TEKKEN started playing her less, and when he did, like I said earlier, his performances were significantly worse. Everything seemed to be collapsing for this character. Despite all of this though, Lili's play rates, to my surprise, remained very high. I mean, she's actually seen a big increase in her player base compared to Tekken 7, where she was the 25th most popular character. I think a huge part of this actually comes from something completely unrelated, which is the multiple huge content creators playing the character and exposing her to a very large audience. She's never had more time in the spotlight, from a casual perspective. So this video is actually more like, why no one plays Lili in competitive play. But hey, can't mess with the series title. Now, is her lack of play in tournaments all because of the nerfs? Well, no, I don't think so. I do think there's a little bit more to it. Even before she got nerfed, this was around the time where pretty much the entire Tekken community was dooming about defense being bad and not worth it in this game, which didn't bode well for the defensive character Lili is. And after the patch, where generic defense was buffed a ton, heat bursts were now sidesteppable, heat dashes no longer staggered at the wall, there was a ton of good stuff here, and this should have been an indirect buff to Lili and to other defensive characters. I thought at the time, maybe it wasn't all bad. Sure, she got nerfed, but a lot of characters got nerfed in this patch. Maybe she'll come back. She unfortunately didn't. I feel like a ton of pro players decided that she just wasn't worth it anymore. Why play a defensive-based character in the most aggressive Tekken game? Strong movement and punishment is her whole identity in high levels of play. In a game where aggression is incentivized more now than ever before, and defense oftentimes falls by the wayside, it seemed like she was just set up to fail in this game. They gave her the 50-50 in heat stuff to ensure she wouldn't fall behind and could compete with the best of the best, but once that was gone, people remembered that, again, she's a defensive and honest character, and decided to look elsewhere. That's my presumption of why so many people dropped her and why she's just never really been seen that much in competitive play. Lili kind of just had the odds stacked against her from the beginning. She's still a strong character, don't get me wrong. She usually looms around the bottom of A tier, or the top of B tier in most recent tier lists. She still has what makes her good, but I don't know, the character just feels kind of forgotten. No one ever really talks about her, and when they do talk about her, it's all very negative. Like I said before, she's very popular with casual players, and Lili is known for having a lot of cheese. Even though she's honest, and none of this stuff is really used in high levels of play, in low levels, especially in ranked, yeah, people abuse a lot of stuff about her, and Lili players get a lot of hate for that. She gets almost no representation in professional play these days, and when she is brought up, it's again usually people just saying she's cheap and brain dead because they're experienced playing against her in ranked. I feel bad for Lili and her players. They just can't get a break in this game. It's not like she even needed major nerfs, even with the broken 50-50. She was still consistently ranked behind all the other broken characters in the game. Did she really need this many nerfs? There were plenty of characters above her who deserved to be nerfed way more, and they just never really did. Despite all this, I still have a lot of respect for Lili players. I think the character at her core is really cool and interesting. I wish more people understood her. This is a really cool character, and I hope as time goes on, she becomes more popular in competitive play. But yeah, that's about all I've got for this video. If you guys enjoyed this and want to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's a really huge help. And make sure to join my Discord server. The link's in the description below. There you can chat with me and other Tekken players. It's a really awesome community. As always, huge thanks to my YouTube members and Patreon patrons. Your support means the world to me. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.